He was abandoned for being weak, but actually has an SS rank instant death ability. Yogiri was an ugly, disgusting orphan boy who was left alone by his friends to die. Previously, he and his classmates were transported to another world in Bus-kun. A sage named Sion gives them powers called gifts, making them potential sage candidates. However, 4 students weren't compatible with the powers, and that included Yogiri. The rest of their friends leave them to die at the hands of a wyvern, thankful that they won't have to see their ugly faces again. With this, the beast kills off the 2 extras, leaving our MC with a girl named Tomochika. She wakes up Yogiri and hugs him tight, making him realize that she has the plot of the main heroine. The protagonist kills the wyvern, and the duo was ready to head to town. However, they're approached by 3 of their classmates. One of them was a necromancer who came to get some zombie milkers, thinking that Tomochika was dead. Unfortunately for them, Yogiri kills 2 of them with a single word and turns the 3rd into a dog. He ordered the guy to play fetch with the dogs in the jungle. The doggy was never seen after that. The duo then go to the town where they meet a cat girl. For them to go back to their world, they had to make contact with Sion, who was located in the capital. Too bad for her, the cat girl decides to betray them. She calls a group of bandits who were obviously side characters. Our protagonist was no furry, so he puts the kitty in her place by sending her to heaven. However, one of the dead bodies was found out by an immortal vampire sage named Lane. She was ready to see his power, but we'll get to that later. Meanwhile, the 2 make their way to the capital on a train, where they're stopped by a fight between 2 strong people. A sage was fighting with an aggressor, which is short for people from different dimensions that come to their world and wreak havoc. Unfortunately for the sage, he forgot that he was still a side character and got arrogant in front of the protagonist. Yogiri kills the dude with ease, making the robotic aggressor submit. The big piece of junk says that he doesn't want to fight, and gives Tomochika a weapon that could change shape in exchange for his life. This news gets to Sion, who seems to be interested in Yogiri. Later, the duo arrive at a city where they meet one of their classmates. Motherfucker had made a harem in just a week. He invites Tomochika to be a part of his heptuple, but she says that she's good. I'll introduce his girls. Side character 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Meanwhile, the city was under attack by an aggressor called the Darkness. Even the sage Lane wasn't able to deal with it, so she calls her lackeys to raid the city so that Yogiri comes out to kill the creature. Elsewhere, side character 1 was trying to kill our MC's girl, so he kills her. The rest of her extra companions try to take revenge, only to get one-shotted by Yogiri. He even ends up killing their master from miles away. Later, our protagonist is requested by the Major to the city to save his people, so he kills the Darkness. However, Lane takes this chance to attack the MC, only to get killed too. The Major thanks the duo and gives them a Hummer as a thanks. They then head towards the capital once again, where we see a flashback of a woman getting accepted for her tutoring job. She was selected to take care of a things called Alpha Omega, which had the power to kill anything it wished. Upon entering the place where it was being held, the woman named Asaka finds a little boy alone in a house. She takes care of him and gives him food, also giving him the name Yogiri Takatu. Back to the present, they encounter a giant thunder dragon along the way. The beast tries to flee after seeing our MC, but he calls it back. It then turns into a loli. She wanted them to visit the swordmaster that lived in the mountains, who was on par with a sage. Yogiri decides to go with her, as the man might know how to send them back to their world. Long story short, they end up participating in a competition for the position of the Knight of the Divine King. The Divine was the one responsible for managing and sealing the evil god. Thousands of years ago, a swordmaster sealed the dark god with herself in an orb. The old swordmaster takes the candidates on top of a tower, where they had to get to the bottom within 24 hours and allocate 100 points inside the tower. In the latest episode, Yogiri tells Tomochika that he accidentally killed the dark god, making her scream in fear. They decide that it would be best if they went to the bottom, so they make their way down. Along the way, they see many corpses of people who went before them. There were traps laid out throughout the tower that activated at the slighted movement and killed the one unlucky enough to trigger them. The group arrive at a room where a participant named Teresa had slaughtered many people. She had already attained the title of the Knight of the Divine King, but due to killing a lot of people she was stripped of her title. Now she has participated again to regain her job. However, while she was busy attacking Rick looking very intimidating, our protagonist kills her with one word. Later, the group arrive at the 98th floor, which was supposed to be a safe area. They decide that it would be best to split apart, so Yogiri and Tamachika are the only ones left. The duo ask for a room to rest, but there was only one room currently available. Tamachika thinks that our MC would do some weird things as they were alone. However, he changes his clothes and goes to sleep like a Sigma. Meanwhile, Lionel waits for his apology stones when he suddenly gets a message. It said that he could use the guaranteed Ultra Gacha for 100 stones, so he goes with it like an idiot. After his pull, the reward seems to be the goddess that saved him and gave apology stones. She came to check on what he was doing, also giving him the ability to revive in that room every time he dies. When the goddess disappears, the scene changes to a girl attacking some guy. His name was Rakuto Seidu, a dude who was ice-guyed by Truck Kun, and now he built a colony and lives a peaceful life. The girl was Aoi Hayanos, who came to recruit him for God knows what. The guy straight up pulls out some tentacles to deal with her, however she's hentai-proof. Aoi counters his every spell and kills him with little to no effort. Suddenly, her dagger starts talking and informs her about her next job. She had to dispose of our protagonist and his girl, so you know this bitch is not gonna survive for long. Out of nowhere, the doggy from the first episode returns, this time asking Aoi to make him her servant. After barely surviving after playing fetch with the pups in the forest, he was taken in by the guy who just died. With nowhere to go, he wanted the girl to take him with her. Elsewhere, Tamachika wakes up at the sound of her guardian spirit, only to see Yogiri lying on her melons. She quickly gets up and finds the fatty stuck in the wall. Makomoko explains that she tried to leave the duo alone, but came back to peep on them. However, she got stuck in the walls because the Swordmaster was about to gather all the spirits of the dead, so the tower sucked her inside. Our MC wakes up and decides to kill the suction, and it dies. The spirit is saved and is thankful for not dying a second time. Meanwhile, a thunder dragon attacks Aoi and the dog. With her ability, she can change any phenomenon to what she wishes, but it doesn't work if her opponent has a high luck stat. When they were about to fight, something slits the dragon's throat and kills it. The culprit was an aggressor named Hedgehog, which quickly leaves after gathering intel. Aoi saw a tower just before it left, so she decides to follow the creature. Meanwhile, Yogiri and Tamachika had already reached the 50th floor when they encounter a guy claiming to be the creator of the tower. The dude starts his whole speech, but he's killed halfway by our MC. Rick had accumulated 100 points, while Lionel was getting help from Frederica to complete his share as well. The duo arrive at a stadium, where two girls were fighting with their swords. The bunny girl is motivated by her master who looked like a scumbag. His name was Masaki Kazuno, who had discovered that the purple-haired girl was actually a half-demon. She was called Theodisia, and acutely had the ability to denigify herself. With the bunny girl fighting the half-breed, Yogiri just wanted to pass by and requests that they let them through. However, the side character doesn't listen like always and wanted the duo to fight his underlings. He takes his time to reveal their names and explain their abilities, but in the end Yogiri kills them all in a second. After he takes care of their leader, the Whitehead thanks our protagonist and asks for his help. They decide to hear her out, and that's where the video ends.